My dear brothers and sisters, this week we are between two important feasts of the Christmas season. Last Sunday, we celebrated the solemnity of the Epiphany of the Lord, when Jesus revealed himself to the Magi from the east as the King not only of Israel, but of all nations. He is the Savior not only of a chosen people, but of all peoples. And this coming Sunday, we will celebrate the feast of the baptism of the Lord, which concludes the Christmas season. With the feast of the Lord's baptism, God Himself, the Father Himself, will reveal who Jesus is, that He is the Son of God. And so this week, our readings for Mass invite us to reflect more deeply on who Jesus really is and who Jesus is for us. I hope that each day of this week, we will be able to answer that question based on our readings. Sino ba si Jesus? Sino ba ang nagkatawang tao na Diyos? Sino ba ang isinilang ni Maria? At sino siya para sa akin? In our first reading today, St. John tells us plainly who God is. St. John says, God is love. And in our gospel today, we see this divine love at work as Jesus feeds the hungry crowd. Take note, my dear brothers and sisters, that Jesus was the one who sensed the hunger of those following Him. Walang nagsabi kay Jesus na nagugutom na ang mga tao. Walang nagreklamo sa mga sumusunod sa Kanya na nagsabing, Panginoon, gutom na kami. Jesus felt the need of the people. And because of this, Jesus also took the initiative of looking for a solution to the people's need. While the disciples told Jesus to simply dismiss the crowd because it is already late and so that they could find food for themselves, Jesus said to His disciples, give them food yourselves. The disciples seem to be concerned. Paalisin na lang natin sila. Pauwiin na lang natin sila para makahanap sila ng pagkain. But Jesus said, we will give them food ourselves. Tayo ang magpapakain sa kanila. You know, my dear brothers and sisters, many times, like the disciples, we also want to pass on to others our responsibility to love and to care. We prefer to be detached. We do not want to be involved. Kapag may humihingi ng tulong, sasabihin natin, pumunta na lamang kayo sa charitable institution. Yun ang makakatulong sa inyo. May mga magulang na yung responsibilidad nila sa kanilang mga anak, ipapasa na lamang sa mga mag-aalaga. Sila na lamang ang magbibigay ng panahon at atensyon sa aking mga anak. We pass on our responsibilities to love and to care for others. But God's love is not like that. God's love is always hands-on. The love of God is not distant. It is not aloof. It is not detached. And it is not indifferent. The love of God is always near, present. It is always involved. It always participates in our human affairs. That is why St. John in our first reading today tells us that God is love. But this is the way God shows us His love. God sent His Son into the world so that we may have life through Him. God is so near, God is so present that He chose to be man like us. Hindi malayo ang pag-ibig ng Diyos. Ang pag-ibig ng Diyos ay hands-on palagi. Siya mismo ang magmamahal. Siya mismo ang mag-aalaga. Siya mismo ang magliligtas. And so today, my dear brothers and sisters, who is Jesus? Who is the Son of Mary? Who is Jesus for us? And our readings today give us this answer. Jesus is the love of God incarnate. Ang pag-ibig ng Diyos na nagkatawang tao, yan si Jesus. Jesus is God's love in flesh and blood. That is why, my dear brothers and sisters, in Jesus, we experience that God's love is not abstract, it is real. In Jesus, we see God's love not as distant, but near.